Welcome to In Between Podcast with your hosts, Sarah and Celeste. Join us every Monday at 4 p.m. on a journey through the twists and turns of life. From the challenges that test our resolve to the moments that fill us with joy, we are here to explore it all. We may not fit the mold of the ordinary, but together we're just two friends with stories to share. We're here to inspire, to uplift, and to remind you that you're not alone in this adventure called life. So whether you're navigating through difficult days or celebrating the little victories, come grow with us in life's in between.
Hello and welcome to In Between Podcast. We're your hosts, Celeste and Sarah. It is our second episode and we are so excited that Sarah is going to be telling her testimony. Testimony is basically how you became a disciple of Christ and how your relationship with Christ started. Maybe it was in childhood or adulthood, and how it all played out in your own life. And everybody's testimony is different, and we are excited that Sarah is going to be sharing hers today.
And don't think your testimony is something that's like too small to be shared, because everybody's testimony is so different. And even like you might have this huge story, but you might not, and that's okay. You know, you don't know whose life you're going to reach when you're telling it. So I think it's important to know like where your testimony, you know.
Yeah, I think when we were talking about starting the podcast, obviously our testimonies came up in that we wanted to do an episode where we told about our relationship with Christ and how it's grown. But we didn't know if we were going to do it at the beginning of our podcast series or later on, and we kept on just going around in a circle, and then we were like, no, we're doing it at the beginning.
Well, yeah, because it shows like who we are as people. Yeah. And it shows our hearts, like, you know, where we kind of began our lives, pretty much. I mean, in the gist of it.
And how we grew into who we are today. Yes. To even be able to do a podcast.
Yeah. And courage, for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of courage it took. So.
And like Sarah said, like, no testimony is too small. Everybody's testimony is important. And I've heard growing up is like if you lived in church your whole life or you grew up in church your whole life, a lot of people were like, oh, my testimony is just I grew up in church and I've always known God. It's like that's still powerful. That's still meaningful. And not a lot of Christians, because we blast it about a drug addict who gave their life to Christ and then no longer does drugs, or a murderer who gave their life to Christ and how God reached them. And it's the same power that saves those people, saved the kid who's always gone to church. It's the same power. And when you minimize and say, oh, well, I just always grew up in church and I always just knew God, you're kind of basically saying, oh, I didn't really need God that much. And it's like, we're all sinners. We're all sinners. There is no, this is worse, this is worse. No, it's the same power that saved a murderer, a drug addict, whatever else, saved me, you know? And if I don't go around telling people about how the power of Christ changed my life, I'm basically saying God's power isn't that sufficient in my life.
That's a good perspective, honestly. I've never really thought about it that way. But I really liked how you said that. That was really good.
Yeah, it makes me a little upset when people are just like, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal," and it's like it's the same power. Like
it's a big deal. In the
Bible, it says the same power that resurrected Jesus lives in us when we say yes to Christ. It's not any less power. It's the same power, and it's all the living power that we get to go live in heaven with God one day, and it's not different levels of it. Yeah. And so everybody's testimony is important. And so that's why Sarah and I felt like we should share our testimonies with everybody in helping y'all get to know us better. And one thing that I realized was Sarah and I have never actually shared our like start to finish testimonies with one another. Even though we've been friends for 12 plus years. We've never started like
we never told each other from start to like now. I guess it would be.
So this is my first time hearing Sarah's full testimony. So we're excited.
Yeah, I'm excited excited to share with everybody about, you know, who I was and who I am now. I think it's a big difference. Not necessarily bad beginning, but, you know, a big beginning that was my life, or is my life. So I became when I became a Christian, which was in 2010. So I was, I think, 13 or 14. I think it might have been 14. But, I was at just a random Wednesday night church. And the music was like so good. I remember that. It was so good. And at that moment, I was like, I want to be different. There was this one girl in the church that went there, the Wednesday night, whatever. And she was older than me. And I saw her and I knew she was a Christian. I was like, I know she read her Bible like daily and just like, you could just tell that she was, you know?
Yeah, shining that light.
Yeah, she was. And I was like, I want to be like her. And so that's ultimately why I asked Jesus to come to my heart that day. And I was young, but I wasn't, you know, too young. I wouldn't say that I grew up in church either. My dad was a youth pastor back at a Baptist church. You didn't know that?
No.
He was a youth pastor at a church in Tuscaloosa, and we went there until I was like 5 or 6, and then he ended up, you know, quitting, and we moved, you know, we stopped going there. I did Awanas. You know what that is? No. It's like Girl Scouts.
Oh.
But
like,
church. It's like church Girl Scouts.
Oh, okay.
And you had a vest and you got like badges and stuff.
Okay.
So like they hosted it at that church, and so I did that, and I loved it. I wanted to stay doing that. But eventually, you know, we stopped going to church for a big gap in my childhood. So like from 6 to 12. So about for 6 years. And I wasn't a Christian then. Throughout those times, I don't necessarily remember like God being talked about at home. Like you kind of felt like it was there, but it was never like big. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So your only church experience though was what you call it, Ohanas?
Awanas.
Awanas.
But we went to church like during that time that my dad was
a youth pastor.
Yes. And like that was my I guess born to 5.
Okay. But
so,
you don't really remember that much.
I really don't.
At that age.
I really don't remember anything. But apparently I remembered Awanas. So and that was like Christian based. Okay. So and so from 6 to 12, I think we visited a couple churches. And like I said, at home it wasn't like
talk about.
Yeah, not so much. I'm probably here and there and stuff, but not too like Jesus, you know?
Yeah.
And so around like 12 or 13, me and my sister started going to another church, just like the Wednesday nights and like the student ministry type. You know, we really didn't go to the big church. Sometimes we did, but
did your parents go to the big church, or y'all just went to?
It was just me and my sister. Okay. They didn't go.
Okay.
And we just mainly went to hang out with our friends. Like we didn't go because we were like church, you know, whatever.
Like, my friends are there.
Yeah, I think that's a big reason. That people go now, honestly. So, anyways, so all our friends were going, and we were like, we gotta go. So. And we went to all the church camps and stuff, all the camps that they had during the summer, and like the D-Now, we went to those. Anyway, so I was a very shy, like super shy child and teen. Like the one that stands in the corner and like just stares at everybody, like barely smiles. And you don't go and talk to me because you're like, that's a weird girl over there. And like, I'm not going to come talk to you because I'm so shy. Like, you have no idea how shy I was. Like,
well, it's a good thing that you still went though, even and that you enjoyed it.
Well, I did
even
have.
though you were just standing over there in the corner.
Yeah, that was good. But I mean, I did hang out with like my friends. So like, there was only like a couple. My sister had more friends than me, so I hung out with them, but kind of still just like stayed to myself.
Okay.
And just listened.
Just a part of the group.
Yeah, I was in the group, but not like talking in the group. So, yeah, I was very shy, and I guess just going to that church and like being with my friends and just being like having the experience of like worship and like listen to the word being preached and stuff. That's what led me to becoming a Christian or like accepting Jesus.
Would you say that like you ever felt God's presence growing up? Or like if you did, you didn't really know that it was?
Probably. Honestly, I have a big blockage, a big gap of memory growing up. I don't know if that's because I've blocked it out or just like, I don't remember bits and pieces.
Certain ages or something?
Yeah. And that was, I guess, in between the ages 6 and 12, because if you were like, what was that life like? Or what were those years like? I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you, honestly. And that's kind of weird, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's because of just like...
Maybe nothing was really going on.
Maybe. I do feel like my parents were like there, but like so like age gap, my sister's 20 months older than me, but she was the kind that like would read her book and stay in her room, like away. And then my brother was 6 years younger than me. So like there's a huge gap there. And so I didn't really, I mean, if we were to play like outside, it's just like, sorry, Jacob, but...
It wasn't fun to play with.
No, it wasn't.
I'm sure he's like a toddler, like walking around. Sarah's like trying to throw a ball at him or something.
Yeah, I was definitely a bully. No, but just an age gap. And like, I don't know, your parents aren't really... They were there, but they weren't really there sometimes. So I felt a lot of the time I was just alone and by myself. Yeah. So maybe that's why I kind of like blocked it out, because there's like you said, nothing going on. So I wouldn't say that has impacted my life. Now I would say like the blockage part is like kind of like trauma, but not really trauma. You know, I feel like there's worse trauma.
Everybody's trauma is different. But maybe it's just a point of your life that like you haven't really explored to see like what was really going on emotionally.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah.
But so not really like... So
great. 6 to 12, and then you gave your life to Christ at, you said 13?
Okay. Yeah.
And that's where you remember more.
Yeah, I remember more, still going to church camp and stuff, and then just, attending church and just probably reading my Bible. I did start going to Sunday school and just Sunday church more, and like I was in a girls group or something, and I would read my Bible more. But I feel like I didn't really like start living. I wasn't living wrong, but I wasn't like, I guess, really fully in it until I was like 18. Yeah. So like, 13 to 18 was like just I'm here, I'm at church camps, whatever.
I feel like when you're younger, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're younger, you don't really realize the need for God in your life. Like, you're a sinner, and but you really don't know what that sin means. Yeah. Until you get older, and then you're like, wow, I can't do this by myself. Right. And that's where relationship.
Or like there was no like necessarily big trials, like
where you had to be fully dependent on God.
Right. And so in 2014, I was 18 because I graduated that year, right? And I think that was the year, 2014? It doesn't matter, really. But anyways, I was 18. Mm-hmm. That's all that matters. So, I started going to church on my own necessarily. My boyfriend at the time, Nelson, invited me to go to his church. Husband now. Invited me to go to his church, and I didn't go I guess I started going there when I was 17, I think. So, and I didn't go to youth. I just stayed in big church, and we just did the go to church and then leave type thing. Mm-hmm. And so, and at that time I was, still kind of just go to church, just playing
check it off.
Yeah, check off my list, and then not really, read my Bible a lot or anything. And so, then I started getting plugged into the youth group, mm-hmm. actually. I was still shy at this point. Still very shy.
How old? 16?
Yeah, 17, going on 18 probably. Yeah. Because I remember we went to a church camp this summer, my senior year. Mm-hmm. And that was the only thing that I really ever did, with the youth. That was, the big trip, mm-hmm. is I went to that. And I loved it. Mm-hmm. I had a really good time hanging out. Now,
I think I remember when you went.
I still didn't have any friends or anybody talk to me.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I was literally so shy. It held me back from so much. You did know me at that point.
Me and you were best friends at that point.
Yeah, but you weren't there with me.
No, I didn't go to that church.
So, I really didn't have, anybody to talk to. It's I opened up, but through that, I was just so shy. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I started attending, the youth group and started doing that, and started getting close to, the, not the youth, it's the youth leader, but the, assistant, kind of. She mm-hmm. worked there, but she wasn't the main, she was, the girls' counselor type thing.
Assistant.
Yeah, and I got really close to her, and I think that kind of, led me to want to, be more a part of it. Mm-hmm. And, anyway, so college, college was kind of here and there. I would say trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life was rough. Mm-hmm. Just because, I didn't really have any direction. Mm-hmm. Wasn't really getting anything, from whatever reason.
Yeah.
And,
would you say that you, tried to ask God, what you should do with your life? Or you were still just kind of God's, this check the box kind of thing?
See, I don't know. I think I was more of a check because I don't remember ever being, I don't remember ever, praying,
seeking.
Yeah.
Okay.
God, show me where to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I think I only started doing that when I went to culinary school for a short time, and I did not like it as much as I thought I would. Yeah. Anyways, it was more technical, and I was just this is not for me. I'm just gonna bake in my kitchen. Yeah. So that was but it led me to want to go to a Bible college, mm-hmm. not necessarily Bible college, but a
Christian accredited, maybe?
Yeah, Christian accredited college, right? And so through that, I figured, I started praying more and seeking God more and asking Him what I need to do with my life because I felt like I wasn't where I needed to be. Mm-hmm. And through that, He actually was you need to do student ministry. And I was like, what? Are you sure? And I was like, I don't know about that because back then I didn't talk to people and I didn't love that age group. They made me nervous and they point out all your problems. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever talked to teens?
Have you ever talked to a 2-year-old?
No, and I don't want to. That's another age. Anyways. So, we would volunteer at the church that we were going to. I started doing kids and just being a leader in the kids. Mm-hmm. And then it ended up moving up to doing helping out with the students. And I started just like enjoying it, which I was still pretty shy at this point as well. And I like, even though I was like, God sending me here, or I knew that He was sending me to this point of student ministry, and I was scared because I was like, I don't really want to, but I know that I need to do this. And so, through all that, like prayer for sure was really helpful. And I prayed this prayer over, like, literally every day, like, Lord, please make me not shy anymore. Like, I am tired of being shy because, like, it held me back from so many opportunities. And, like, just being a friend or being a, like, light in those years that, like, I was just so shy. And, like, that's one of the biggest things that I had always struggled with. And, like, I was just praying, like, constantly, like, take this away from me. I know you can do it. Because, we see His miracles. We might not see it in our everyday, but they're little sometimes, and they're there. We just got to be open to it. And I was like, I just want to not be shy. And so, come to, I guess, just, like, being in the student ministry life and just, like, pouring into students helped me a large, like, huge. I was not as shy. Like, I was speaking to these students and like, I don't know, just life-changing experiences and just being there for them. Like, that was a big moment in my walk with Christ.
Would you say that, like, as you were, like, praying those prayers of, like, God, please help me not to be shy anymore, do you think God just kept on putting you in situations where you had to just, like, push through the shyness, and He was like, I'm going to get you there, but, like, you're just going to have to go and do it. Like, I'll be there with you, but, like, you're going to get up in front of these students, and you're about to have to talk.
Probably, because it happened a lot.
You're like, this is what I was talking about. Like, I needed this shyness to just go away.
Which it didn't really start like that. It was more like I was with somebody, like, teaching together, and I was, like, the second person, and I would ask, like, questions here and there, and I know that I was, like, still kind of just in my little bubble. Still, just kind of like, I don't really want to say this. But then it led to me, having to, like, be pushed to go do that. And if it was just, like, doing the announcements, like, little things, and then
baby steps
baby steps to get there. And it was really fun. I really enjoyed that moment of my life. I love the students.
Would you say that was, like, the point in your life where you were actually, like, fully dependent on God? Like,
I would say so. I was fully there, and, like, fully in His Word, and fully, like, trying to, like, preach to kids and, like, be there for them, like, counsel them, and like, and
be the light.
Be the light in their lives. Because I prayed constantly for, like, Lord, like, give me the wisdom to, like, know these kids, and give me the, like, I wanted to know how people's minds work, so then I could counsel them better. Like, I tried to keep improving on that, so, like, I could be there for them. Because, like, every kid's different, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And so when you have 6th to 12th graders, like, that's a big gap of age, too. And so
totally different what they're dealing with.
And I wanted to relate to every single one of them, because they didn't really have stability in the youth ministry. And so, like, I wanted to be that stability for them. And I feel like I did a pretty good job.
It was a growing experience, though, for you.
It was a huge growing experience, but I had a good time experiencing it. Now, that's been since I started working there, and probably not long after I graduated. So I started like doing, like, missions, and then, like, slowly went into the being with the students, and I ended up, like, quitting in 2020. So
you're definitely doing it when we got married. So you started in, like, what, 2016?
Probably. So I was there for a good few years. And
And I'll say I saw you grow a lot during those years. Like,
which we were still like on office friendship.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
I mean, we still hung out a good bit.
Yeah.
I was still in high school for most of that. I didn't graduate till 2017.
Okay. Yeah.
But I would say I saw you grow a lot in just like how you held yourself and like how you spoke to people and stuff.
Thank you.
I would say you changed a lot during that time.
Thank you. I think the change was good for me.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Because, it's leading me here today. So, but anyway, so I ended up quitting there in 2020. And not just like quitting, like, oh, I'm quitting, whatever. No, it was like something on my heart that it wasn't working out greatly. And God was just like, and it wasn't working out with like my life, because at that time I was needing to move in with G, my grandmother. She wasn't really doing so hot, and I noticed it because I would visit her a lot during the week. I was just like, this is not going good. And so I needed a job where I could take care of her and like be there for her, but also keeping my job. So it just wasn't lining up anymore, and they weren't really willing to like work with me on that. And so I ended up quitting, and it was like a shattered rock. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I thought that like I didn't have a job lined up. Like, I didn't have anywhere to go. Like, what am I doing? And I was very sad about it.
I'm sure you felt like your purpose was kind of getting taken away.
Yes, I really thought, because I was like, God called me to student ministry. Felt like I was called there, like, and I thought that honestly that I was going to be there for a good chunk of my life. That's what I wanted to be, at least. Yeah. And because I loved it so much. But then, like, it was all gone, and I was like, what am I doing?
Well, you're back to the point that you were when you were
early. So confused.
Early 20s, and you're like, what the crap am I doing with my life?
Yeah, exactly. I'm back. Literally gone backwards. Yeah. And so through that, I didn't lose my faith in God because it wasn't, because I didn't have my faith in those people at church. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love the people at church. I love my kids. I love like the parents and like the college. I loved all that. And I put my heart and soul into them. But my like faith wasn't in them. Yeah. Does that make sense? And so my faith was still in God. I was just hurt as well. So, and hurt by the church. So like, I think that's a big deal that I still had my faith in God, even though like I went through that and I was hurt, you know, even by my friends, I was hurt. So I think it's important that we, whenever stuff does happen, we do keep our faith in God and God alone, because that's ultimately like, you know, what we're doing in life. Yeah.
Well, I think it's easy to get your purpose and your calling mixed up. And in the sense of like, you found, like, God called you there, you know, and like you felt like you were growing and you were achieving what God wanted you to. Yeah. And then some hurt happened, and then you realized that God's not calling you to be there anymore. Right. You know, but you kept your faith in what God had called you to be, not just, oh, this is who I am now. Right. It's like, you know, God called me here, and then God can call me somewhere else too. And you like kept that.
But I didn't realize that at the moment. Yeah. I was just more like, I'm hurting. Like, what is my next steps? And we didn't continue to go to that church either. So we were just kind of like, what are we doing now? Yeah. And so as far as job, I worked with my dad for a month or so. And then we worked at a sorority one day, and I got a job with her and being her like assistant. And that was only for like 3 weeks. Like, it wasn't long at all. And I still at this point didn't have a clue what I was doing with my life, because I didn't have any like schooling to back up anything, right? My next option was like Chick-fil-A, and I was like, I don't know. Oh no. So I was like, I don't know about that. Anyway, so my last day at that sorority, all right, didn't have anything going on the next day. And my friend, we were in an engaged, married, like small group together. And I really didn't know her that well, but we were still in that group text. And she was like, hey, is anyone needing a job? And I was like, oh, me, I need a job, please. Anyways, it was just, she said you didn't really need much experience. And I was like, oh, check.
I don't have that.
Check. And then you have to be really like crafty and like know your computer. And I was like,
that's me.
Oh my gosh.
That's me.
An answered prayer, legit.
Yeah.
And so I contacted her, and then she gave me the job, and I was like, oh, it fell into place so good that I was like, that's a God thing.
Yeah.
Because like things just don't fall into place so easily. And I had been praying for, just a job, something to come along. And so I've been working there since 2020. And I really enjoy it. I opened my own business last January, and that's going good. So and then I had Brinley 2022, right, 2022, and had a baby in the end of 2023. And so, I don't know, just life has been really good. Now, we haven't really found a church home still, and we've been searching for that in all the churches around town, literally. And I guess just from being hurt, it's been harder for us to find that, because we want to be the family that like goes to church and like our foundation is in God. Like, and I'm not saying like you have to go to church to be a Christian, but it definitely like helps your walk, and it you learn literally every time you go. And so we've been trying all the churches, and we've been sticking to a couple, so hopefully like it'll just be like, I guess, come back to that, and like we're gonna feel like we are like meant to be there, and I'm hoping that's gonna come soon. I will say that my stepmom has a small group that I've been going to. It's a prayer group every Wednesday, and I've been loving that.
That's awesome.
I've just been, showing my heart, and like, cause I don't have that community anymore, and I've like been yearning for community, and that has really helped me a whole lot. And I've been reading my Bible more, just trying to get in that word this new year, and kind of see what God is saying to me and what I need to be doing, because I felt like my purpose was still like lost, like I wasn't doing anything. I was just kind of waiting. Been in a waiting period for a long, like since 2020.
But would you say that waiting period is more of a healing period?
Yeah, healing definitely, and kind of like going through those like, what could I have done differently? But I know that there was nothing, because I'm where I'm supposed to be now.
Like taking away all those doubts, basically.
Yes, because there was a lot of like, maybe I shouldn't have quit. But then I'm like, then I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't have like gotten the digital enterprises job. There's a lot of things that have happened that probably wouldn't have happened if I hadn't have quit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and like moved on, like, cause everything was like in that, and now it's like not. But I will say that this podcast and like us wanting to start the podcast has really opened up my purpose. It's like bringing it back into a different way. A different way, yeah. But the same thing. Yeah. Still like teaching and growing together. And like, hopefully we can reach one person, by the end of this conversation or whatever. And that's what that has kind of been put on my heart. And that's why I wanted to do the testimony. So like, people will see that like, oh, I didn't just grow up in church and like, here I am now. Yeah. Like I have, been through it and then shy has kept me away, and then hurt. And like now I'm like thriving. While reading the Bible, while building friendships.
Well, even just you telling your testimony, I can see where God answered your prayer about shyness.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be here if He wouldn't have answered your prayer about shyness. Like,
that's true.
You probably wouldn't have gotten that job with the lady at UA either. And then you would have never reached out to your other friend to get the digital enterprise.
No, I wouldn't have.
Because you'd been too scared to ask anybody. So it's like God answered that prayer, and there's really that one prayer has opened up the door to so many other opportunities that God has like opened the door for you, but you're too shy to walk through. Yeah. And now that He's answered your prayer about shyness, you're actually like, I can follow God through this.
Mm-hmm. And I've trusted that He's got my back, even though like I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. You know, for most of everything, I guess. Pretty much. Yeah. So it's been good.
Yeah. So what would you say your daily walk or relationship with God looks like now? Because as a mom and as a business owner and as a co-host on a podcast, like what does your relationship daily look like with God now?
Pretty like open-hearted. Like when I'm praying, it's not just like, I try not to make it just like
your prayer list.
Yeah, or like, hey Lord, bless this day, or bless this food. It's more like conversations like, Lord, help me like survive the day. or just like, let's have a good day, like no crying or whatever it is, like and just open my eyes to what you have to say. Yeah. Kind of, so just talking to Him in a more like personable way. And reading my Bible has really like helped me with like faith and trust, because lately I've been reading my Psalms, and I've been reading James, and like at the beginning it's like you go through these trials and like, but they're gonna bring you endurance, and so the endurance part I'm like trying to, I don't know, it's just like that verse has been brought to me. It's in like James 1 verse 2 through 5 or something like that, but like I don't know, it's just been good. Like like read my Bible and open my eyes to see what He has to say and what next steps are for me as far as business, and like even through my business He has been showing me like, because I almost was like, if you don't want me to do this, like don't send me any clients, because like I need to know, or because I'm not gonna put all this effort into it and it like come out of nothing.
Well, and if that's not the road God wanted you to walk down either, like,
right, He wouldn't have given me, I feel like, any business, because I haven't been able to market like I want to, because I do have 2 little kids and I stay at home, you know? So it's like I'm kind of stuck. But through like word of mouth, people have been like contacting me about a website.
I mean, you already see like prayers being answered that way too.
Right. And you don't realize it, I guess, until like it happens. So I feel like I've kind of been like in the dark, just asking the questions, but no answers. But then you look at it a different perspective, and it actually He is answering my prayers. So it's been a good however many years I've been a Christian.
So you said 2010, so it'd be 14 years.
Well,
yeah, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Yeah, I think. Well, thank you for sharing your testimony for one. I've heard bits and pieces of it, but to actually see it from like start to finish, I can totally see how God has grown you, and like actually being your friend during part of that time. Yeah. Because we've been friends for 12 years, so about
most of the time.
Yeah, just about from start to finish with your relationship with God to now. Yeah. Not really a finish, it's still a journey. But,
right, yeah.
To where you're at now, I can really tell where God has grown you and how you've had to step out in faith in your shyness and stuff, and where God's gotten you now, and it's really incredible. It's been
a good 14 years.
Yeah.
Definitely hard. A lot of heartbreak and like trials have been throughout, but I feel like I've come up like around, come around to it. So
yeah, I think,
and really learned from those situations, and not ever like turning my back on God, or like my faith has not wavered from God, even though like bad or trials did happen.
Yeah,
I want to make that like known, because it's really easy, I feel like, to just be like, God has control of my life, and He let these things happen.
Yeah.
So how do I learn like to not do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or not to like hate God for like causing having my parents divorced or whatever, you know? So it's like I've come a long way from thinking those things, and I don't want to think those things, because I mean, He's ultimately like my best
God
friend.
works everything for your good, and He says that in His Word, and we have to trust that even when it's hurting like crap, and it's like, I don't see how you're going to work this for good, and it's very easy to build up a wall inside of us and be like, no, there's 100%. No way you're going to turn this for good. And then when you actually look back on your life, you're like wow, He actually did work it for good,
Yeah.
But also it takes our surrender and our just like, God, like, we have this problem and we have these issues and we have this sin here. Like, here you go. And I mean, through your testimony, you can see that you're just like, I don't know what my purpose is. Here's my life. Like, you do what you want to do with it. And obviously God has gotten to work and has been shining His light through you. And everything.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I've been trying to give my like daily to Him more. Be like, please just take my life and like help me, because I need help. Yeah.
As a mom,
because I can't do it by myself. Honestly,
as a mom, you're like, I'm at my wit's end. Like, I need the energy to make it through the day. And God can sustain you definitely through that. It's a whole different type of surrender that you're having to learn.
Yes.
As a mom. And
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Help.
Yeah, you think you're like fully surrendered to God, and then you become a mom and you're like, wow, I need you a whole lot more.
Yes.
I need God
I'm
a
with you
whole
on
lot
that.
more.
I feel that.
Please teach me everything in your Word. Like, because I need help. These little kids will wear us out.
Yeah. Yes, they will. But anyways, conclusion to that, I hope that somebody out there is listening and, taking it all in, and maybe giving you the courage to step out of your comfort zone and share your testimony, because, I mean, you don't know who you're going to reach.
Yeah.
You don't know who maybe has gone through similar things. Because I feel like a lot of the time, like, she looks happy. She doesn't have any problems.
Yeah.
She hasn't been through it like I have, which I probably haven't been through it like most or some people have, but I have gone through some. Yeah. Yeah. And I at least kind of feel like I can relate. And I'm stepping out and sharing my testimony, and hopefully this shows my heart, and then Celeste will share hers and show her heart. Yeah. So
next episode, here we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we said at the beginning, no testimony is too small, and the power of God is still the same, and the same power that saved Sarah can save you. And maybe if you haven't taken that step to start a relationship with God, we just encourage you, just start talking to Him, just like Sarah did in her walk with God. She just started talking to Him and praying and seeking, and that's all it takes. It's just full surrender and getting to know God, because God ultimately wants to get to know you. So but all right. We'll see you next week with my testimony.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of In Between Podcast. We appreciate you spending your time with us, laughing and growing. Don't forget to mark your calendars for next Monday at 4 p.m. because we will be back with more stories, insights, and inspiration. Life can get hectic, but we hope you'll give time to grow with us. And hey, while you're at it, show us some love by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, keep shining a light and embracing the journey. Thank you for being a part of In Between Podcast family. See you next Monday.